What's going on, everybody? Teddy Baldassarre here, and in this video, two really exciting things happening here. So first, we're joined by John, the Kavalier. He's in from Pittsburgh and here in Cleveland. We've been collabing on a couple videos here while he's in town, and on top of that, we're going to be featuring a new series on the channel for the first time today, Watch Collection Battles. So I know when I just announced this series, there's a little bit of pushback. I don't want this series to be anything where people feel insignificant or feel their collection is being compared directly to other people and they should, take it to heart. I don't want it to really be featured around that, but I do think it's a fun way to kind of make some fun at, putting two different kind of collections against each other or more, so we can kind of just see, a part of this community who is wearing what watches are out there, and it's really cool to just see what you guys are wearing. So we have 4 different set of criteria, things we're going to be covering, and of course it's just our opinion. I want to hear opinions down in the comments down below as well about what watches you guys like, what collection you like the most. But those 4 criteria are brand variety, sentimental value, versatility, uniqueness. Also, we're going to pick our favorite watch out of all of the collections mentioned here. We have 4 different collections we're going to be looking at. And at the end, John and I will decide what collection do we like the most. And of course, leave your opinions down there as well. If you guys want us to continue this series, give it a thumbs up. But let's jump into it, guys. All right, guys, so we're gonna be looking at 4 different collections in this video. We're gonna alternate back and forth between myself and John, talking a little bit about each one of these collections in a little bit more detail. But John, first, tell people who you are and talk about your channel a little bit.
I like to cover the intersection of e-commerce and menswear. So I try to give you the best landscape of all the direct-to-consumer brands, and I try to be like the wire cutter of menswear. So if you wanna buy like a great Chelsea boot, I'll tell you which ones are the best to take a look at.
Yeah, so I found John's channel before I even started making content on YouTube, so it's really cool that we're now connected, we're making some videos together. He's been featured on a couple of videos on my channel before in the past, so definitely go check out his channel, make some great content. So the first collection we're gonna be looking at is Rodrigo's, and Rodrigo has a very vast collection, so pretty good from top to bottom if you ask me. So first off, he has a Panerai PAM 510. He has a Seiko, Leipzig, a Flieger watch. He has a Tag Heuer Aqua Racer Caliber 5. Also has a Christopher Ward Trident watch as well. Then he also has a watch that I've never seen before actually. It's a Borealis Santa Cruz with a bronze case. Really interesting watch. Also has an Orient Bambino, a Margate Leoncino, Citizen, Aqualand, a Tissot PRC 200, a Bulova Marine Star Black, and has a series of Vostok. So a Vostok compressor 2416 and a Vostok Amphibia, as well as a Casio G-Shock DW5600E. So if you want to look at Rodrigo's collection in a little bit more detail, go check out his Instagram at RodTP. So looking at his collection, so I think we first want to start with his Panerai. So this was his dream watch for a long period of time, and he was introduced to Panerai a few years ago through friends from work. And after many years of trying to figure out what was the watch for him, he always kind of lusted over this watch. And recently, for his 40th birthday, he decided to treat himself. December 2017, he got the PAM 00510 at manual winding, 8 days of power reserve with that in-house P5000 movement. For Rodrigo here, this was really the watch that had really getting him into watches again. To put it in his words, this Panerai brought his passion for watches back up on steroids. He put that in with an exclamation on the end. On top of that, he also has this Borealis bronze watch, which I think is a really interesting looking watch. A brand that I was not really familiar with, but a really clean looking design. One of the better bronze cases I've seen in watches. So I would definitely check out this brand. I saw that they're sold out and they do some pre-orders periodically throughout the year. However, it looks like this one actually comes in around $200. So really nice find here. And Rodrigo, I think you have a pretty good, well-balanced collection. And definitely that Panerai here is definitely the star of the show, in my opinion.
Next, we're going to take a look at Theo's collection. You can check him out at T Pascablo on Instagram. So first we have the Grand Seiko Snowflake SBGA 211, the Omega Speedmaster Professional 311 30 42 30 01 006, the Bulova Lunar Pilot Chronograph 96B251, the Citizen Blue Angel World Chronograph Eco Drive AT 802054L, the Seiko Patty Turtle SRPA 21, Hamilton Khaki Field Automatic in 42mm, that's the H70555533, the Citizen Nighthawk BJ 7052E, the Seiko Sarb 035, Seiko Monster Gen 1 XKX 779K1. We have the Alpiner Chronograph AL750VG4E6, the Tissot Chemin de Tourlet T0994073603800, and the Orient Mako Gen 1, which is modded. So Theo even said this isn't his complete collection, but a couple of the ones we want to call out is the Citizen Nighthawk. This is the watch that got him into watches. He also wore this while he was making his wife's engagement ring. The Tissot Chemin de Tourlet was a wedding day watch and his first Swiss watch. The Orient Mako, he tested out modding. This was the result. And then his Speedmaster was a 1-year anniversary gift. His wife couldn't afford it at the wedding, but she saved up and got that for the first anniversary. And that's one of my favorite watches, the Speedmaster. And then the Seiko Snowflake, he actually had an account named Rolex he was saving up for, and then when he had the money for it, he decided to go with the Snowflake instead, and he credits Hodinkee with why he kind of went that way, but I think that's a great choice.
That's awesome. Really cool story too. All right, so next we have Brandon, and Brandon has 6 watches in his collection here, but I'm really impressed with just the variety he has and the watches that he has selected here. So first up, his Grand Seiko SBGE033 with a spring drive GMT. Next he has his Rolex Ceramic reference 114060, so that's the no date version. Next we have the Tudor Black Bay with the red bezel, the 79220R. He has a Stova Flieger with the blue linen edition dial, a really clean looking sunburst dial on that watch. Next we have the Glycine Airman 18 with a blue dial as well, and then to round out his collection, we have the Seiko Sarb 065. So now looking in a little bit more detail at these pieces, starting with the Tudor Black Bay, I think we have to start here because this was really the first luxury watch that Brandon ever owned and opened the floodgates to a new possibility, to bankruptcy. Just kidding. You're doing great, Brandon. So he bought a lot of Invictas. He, really was buying a lot of fashion watches, and this really resonates with me because that's a really similar way in which I got into watches. Never owned any Invictas, but this was the watch that really opened up the world of luxury watches for him. So really good choice. Tudor Black Bay is probably some of the best value you can find on the market here today. Next up, his Rolex Submariner. The no date, he wanted something that was timeless, and I think the Submariner no date is probably one of the most iconic designs. It has the ability to have better symmetry than I think you would with the Cyclops, so really good choice here as well. Next he has a Seiko Sarb 065, of course a very affordable, or relatively affordable dress piece, and a really good balance in this collection. Then he has his Stova Flieger with a blue dial, so this is a limited edition watch, and I think it's a really interesting looking watch. Stova is just one of those brands, German brand, that's very, very underrated. They've been making watches for now 100 years, so really solid value here as well, and I've never seen this specific model, so really well done here, Brandon. And then the last 2 watches, we have the Glycine Airman 18 Pursuit, so I think this is a really interesting find from you. I think you make a lot of good points here. Of course, the Airman was released in 1953. It predates the Rolex GMT when it was developed in 1954 for Pan Am pilots, so this was actually the first watch ever to be able to track 2 time zones. It's not necessarily a GMT watch, the original Glycine watch, but I think it is absolutely an icon in its own right, a very overlooked icon at that, and I think this blue dial version is really awesome, so awesome pick as well, Brandon. And then finally we have his Grand Seiko Spring Drive GMT. This is a reference SGBE033. So after he got his Submariner, he started planning for his dream collection, and when he was looking around at watches, his favorite color was green, forest green, and he found this limited edition GMT Grand Seiko. So when he saw this thing, and there's only 500 of these were limited edition, so only 500 produced, fell in love with it, and he bought it. And I have to say, it's a really interesting looking watch, and to add on top of that, you were able to purchase it for your 30th birthday. I think that's really well done, Brandon. And I'm a big fan of your collection. I think you put a lot of time after making maybe a lot of mistakes up front with the watches that you were first purchasing, and then liquidating to buy that Tudor Black Bay. I think you're in a really good spot, and I really like what you've been doing with your collection here.
Next we have Ethan. You can check him out at FlyPilot2992. We have a Hamilton Khaki Pilot Day Date reference H6461513. This is the Interstellar model. the Casio G-Shock DW5600E1V, the Auris Big Crown Pilot altimeter reference 0173377053134.
That's a long one. That was a long reference right there. Oh, man.
The Orion Bambino 2nd generation version 1. The Auris Artelier translucent skeleton reference 0173476844051.
Auris, come on, man. Make it a little bit easier for us with these references, man.
Seiko Flightmaster reference SNA411. The JLC Memovox, which is a vintage. We'll talk about that one. The Bulova Precisionist. The Porsche Design 716 Orfina Autochrono date. This is the Top Gun model. And then the Omega Seamaster Diver 300 meter reference 2103042003001.
Sweet.
So we'll start off with the Hamilton. This is the Interstellar model. This actually got Ethan into mechanical watches. This gave him the bug about a year ago. He is a licensed pilot, so this checks all the boxes that he wanted. He wanted automatic, he wanted mechanical, sapphire, and a display case black. That's one of the big things you'll see in his collection. And as a fellow Christopher Nolan fanboy, Inception's my favorite film. I can definitely appreciate the Interstellar reference. A Casio G-Shock, every guy needs one in their collection. The Auris Big Crown. So this one he was inspired to look at after his dad purchased a Auris watch, and he put a deposit down on the watch. His dad fell sick. He was taking care of him full time, and then when he went to pay off the deposit at the AD said, "Hey, it's paid for," and his dad paid for the watch as like a thank you for this whole thing. And so that's my favorite story out of this whole collection so far.
Cool.
The next one was that Porsche Design. He was given that from his uncle, who's also a pilot. He didn't think anything of the Porsche Design watch. He just thought it was like a fashion watch, but then he found out that it's actually the Top Gun watch, and it's a significant horological timepiece, and really changed the game there. And so that's become a significant part of his collection. And then he just purchased the 2018 Seamaster, the new 25th anniversary with the wave dial coming back, and he's waiting for it to come in from the AD. And I can tell you that I ordered a Seamaster last year, the Commander Edition, and it took 3 months from the order date to when I got it, and it's an excruciating wait, but it feels so good once you finally get it. So then the JLC is a really cool story though, because it was his grandfather's watch. His dad had literally Ziploc bags of watches and that were his grandfather's, and he put them out one day, and there were some Omegas, but they were fake. But this JLC was real, and he took it to an AD and had it polished and taken care of and serviced, and a new watch. So we'll put a before picture and an after picture right here. And so he's got his grandfather's watch. He never met him, but that's now probably the best piece in his collection.
That's cool. That's what it's all about right there. I mean, why do we love watches? I mean, for myself, one of the things I always articulate is just the story behind them. And as somebody who has a watch from my great-grandfather, somebody I'm named after, I think that's awesome, Ethan. So really great job. All right, so now that we went through each one of these collections, let's look at the 4 major criteria that we have. We'll share kind of our opinions on who we like, what we don't like or whatever, but let's just kind of go through it. So starting off with brand variety is one of the key things we're just looking at here. So I think Brandon does a really good job with his collection and how he balanced it out. I think the reason why I wanted to go with him for this was just because he has 6 watches in his collection, all different brands for that, if you're counting Seiko and Grand Seiko, of course, but they are different companies, so I think you definitely give him that there. I think it's just really well balanced. I think he has a good variation of type of watches. No chronographs in his collection, but I think he covers a lot of bases and some pieces that you wouldn't normally go ahead and select. I mean, I don't know if you're in agreement on that, John, but
yeah. And the next one, sentimental value, we actually didn't read another story of Ethan's about another Auris watches in his collection, which is also his father's. So he and his father both have Auris watches. He has his grandfather's JLC, and the stories behind them were very long. We've condensed them, but just having that history behind the timepieces in your collection, just like your grandfather's watch, that's what watch collecting is all about, and I think you can see that.
I think Ethan gets the W for sentimental value in his collection. So now for versatility, I was a little bit conflicted between Brandon and Rodrigo. But I decided to go with Rodrigo here because I think he does have the advantage of having just more watches in his collection here. So I think he has, across the board, a really good option of watches. So he has his high-end kind of sports watches. He has some dress pieces in there. And he also has some of his beaters in there as well. So he's got his G-Shock. He's got his Vostocks in there that he, of course, wouldn't be as afraid to knock around. So I think there's really good balance. I think every situation that he'd be confronted with, I think he would be able to wear one of his watches without any problems whatsoever.
Well, and bonus points for having a watch you've never seen before.
That's right. He did have a watch that I've never seen before, so really good job, man. So for uniqueness, I think we were in agreement about Theo?
Theo, yeah. Theo seems to be a jeweler of some sort. He made his wife's engagement ring, but he's also exploring modding in his collection. So he's got that Orient that he's exploring modding with, and I'm sure that's probably a bug. Just like watches are a bug, I'm sure modding is the same way. Like, what else can I do? How can I make it? And I know that from checking out like a couple of custom watch making sites, just the fact that you can go on eBay and find the hands, the dial, everything can be customized on the watch. I think that's pretty cool. So that's why.
I think he gets the W, and he also had the Seiko 5 Tudor Black Bay mod, which is really interesting. I don't know if it's my cup of tea, but definitely if you're talking about uniqueness, I think we have to go with Theo here. All right, so now we have to pick our favorite watch out of all of the collections here, and this is kind of tough. So, do you have a favorite? I'm
really tempted to pick Ethan's Speedy because I'd pick Speedies over most things, but I wanted to look at his Hamilton because it's the tie-in to Interstellar. I'm a Christopher Nolan fan, but Hamilton seems to be going through a moment right now. They have their Hamilton is featured heavily in Jack Ryan with the promotion with John Krasinski, and I really like the tie-in of that. I'm always a fan of day-date complications, and that's one right there. So I'm going to pick the Hamilton.
I think I'm going to go with Theo as well. Or do you go, who is it?
Ethan.
So I'm going to go with Theo here in one of his watches. I love the Grand Seiko Snowflake. And the reason why I wanted to pick that one, I thought it was really interesting. And I want to give him a big, this thumbs up for going away from the Rolex. Even though he had the account all set up, named Rolex, he decides to pivot to the Grand Seiko. I think that's cool. I mean, I love Rolex watches, of course. I'm wearing one right now. But I do give a lot of respect to somebody who wears a Grand Seiko. If I ever meet someone with a Grand Seiko on their wrist, I know that's somebody who knows about timepieces, who loves timepieces, and appreciates the craftsmanship. And if you look at these watches with the spring drive technology, as well as their titanium cases with this watch, you're getting a lot of value for the price. And I mean, when you put that up against any other watch in this price range, I mean, it's hard for that Grand Seiko not to come out on top. So I think that's my favorite piece here.
That's like an M. Night Shyamalan level swerve at the end. It's like, I'm walking in the Rolex dealer and walk out with Seiko.
Yeah, that's Sixth Sense, M. Night Shyamalan. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Not Lady in the Water, M. Night Shyamalan. All right, so now let's just pick our picks for our favorite collection. Of course, this is just subjective as can be because, I mean, we both have our own sense of style and what we like. But I think my favorite here is Brandon's. I think Brandon, why I like it, I think it's well balanced with the watches he's decided to pick. And on top of that, I like the fact that it's concise. There is not too many watches in his collection. This is somebody who has thought about the watches that he wants to get. He doesn't really have as many heirloom pieces. He definitely doesn't have the sentimental side of things that, say, Ethan would have with his grandfather's watch and the watches he has with his dad. But I do like somebody who is thoughtful about their purchases, as somebody who was not very thoughtful about their purchases for a long time. So I can appreciate that. I like the 6 watches that he has. So I think that would be my pick for the collections here.
I'm really into Theo's. Theo's collection. He got some pieces to mark some big moments in his life. He also has that range of dress to sport. He's got the Speedy in there. So I didn't pick the Speedy as my favorite one, but the collection with the Speedy.
He is my favorite watch. That Grand Seiko, man. That's a great watch.
Yeah. So I'm pretty into Theo's. I like the range. Like if I could pick out of one of them, I like having that type of range in a collection, especially sentimental, some sport, modded, all over the place.
Yeah. So guys, what do you think of the collections highlighted here today? And do you like this series? Is this something you want us to continue to do on the channel? I would love to do it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think there's definitely some ways that we can fine tweak this, but please leave comments down below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you've not subscribed yet. Hit the bell icon because that all really helps out the channel. And while you're doing it, go do it over at John's channel as well. Give him some love. It was a lot of fun having you on the channel, John. And I hope we can do it again really soon. John the Kavalier, is it the Kavalier on Instagram, right?
Kavalier everywhere. Actually, Teddy's going to be on my channel. I went shopping with Teddy.
That's right. That's why we're together.
Check that out. Yep.
So I'm wearing my outfit that I picked today. We did a $100 challenge video where we went into the mall and tried to get the best outfits we possibly could with $100 in 25 minutes or less. So definitely go check that out on his channel. Be sure to subscribe when you're there. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Be well, and I'll see you all very soon.